Because what's so significant about insulin, if you crave sugar, you can have a blood pressure problem. Because the sugar is going to cause you to have more insulin. The insulin means more sodium. Sodium means more water retention. You could be craving sugar because your liver and gallbladder is congested. So we have a product that we use in our office called Colocol. Colocol is bile salts. See, if you have glucose in your body and there's a layer of fat on that glucose, your body doesn't recognize it. So if you had your gallbladder out, you could actually have some blood pressure issues just because of that. We already briefly talked about stimulants, caffeine. In our practice, we use a product called Cataplex G. We use Cataplex G to help lower your blood pressure. It dilates blood vessels. And we have many ladies that come into our office that have low blood pressure. And we use Cataplex B as in boy. Cataplex B in boy will raise blood pressure up. Cataplex G dilates blood vessels and lower the blood pressure down. Let's talk about atherosclerosis. Atherosclerosis is fat around the inside of your blood vessel. Commonly comes from sugar. Atherosclerosis. There's decreased size of the blood vessel itself. When you eat sugar, it's converted to fat. That can raise your blood pressure because that makes the little tube inside of the blood vessel smaller. There's going to be more pressure. Atherosclerosis is caused by trans fat, inflammation, sugar, and ice cream. I had a patient that came in the other day, and we always will take a side view of a person's low back. When we do that side view of the low back, if I see somebody with a big calcified aorta, that's the large blood vessel in your abdomen, I know that they've been eating sugar and ice cream. If it shows up on your x-ray, we know that all the blood vessels in your body are probably plugged up. I believe in my heart that trans fat, which is found in snack foods, sugar, and ice cream. I think by far ice cream is probably one of the most challenging foods to the vascular system in human beings. And I had some people here today that I had a TV program going out there and I mentioned something about ice cream. It's amazing how people just have a passion for ice cream. It's just intense. Okay. Now, only 5% of blood pressure challenges, 5% of blood pressure challenges from what I read are caused by sodium or salt. Only 5%. Okay, so that's sodium chloride, table salt. I would not use table salt. We encourage Celtic sea salt. Celtic sea salt is a blended, it comes from the north of France, it comes from ocean water. They have done absolutely nothing to it. Let's talk about some treatment protocols for blood pressure. Now there's a lot of ways, right now there's a lot of reasons to get high blood pressure. There's a lot of ways that you can treat. I'm going to give you one that I learned when I was studying for my natural health doctor degrees on mung beans. Now listen, this is pretty fascinating. They use mung beans for bean sprouts. So here's what you do. You get an ounce, or let's say a large tablespoon of mung beans. You put it in a coffee cup, or a tea cup, or whatever you want to call it, and you put some pure hot water in that cup. And you let the beans soak for 10 minutes or so. Drink the water. So you have a couple choices. You can come home from work if you work and do the same process again, or you can take the beans to work, put some hot water during the day, drink the water. When you come home at night, you do the process all over again, but you eat the beans. Over time, that's going to help alkalize your body, it's going to give your body minerals, and I've had people who's lowered their blood pressure by eating mung beans. Mung beans are really what people use for sprouting. Okay? Another is obviously to eliminate sugar, and the low-fat diet is not going to cure blood pressure problems. Actually, I think sometimes a low-fat diet can cause blood pressure problems because there's so many carbs. All of you in this room should be using some flax oil. All of you in this room should be using some olive oil. Those will all help your blood pressure. Drink more water. Now, herbs that you can use that will help your blood pressure. I mentioned this a few minutes ago. Kelp. I've had people's blood pressure get lower because of kelp. It's a great source of minerals. Up to 9 a day. Alfalfa. We use a product in our practice called Mintran. You take 6 to 9 a day. You say, why so many, Dr. Bob? Because so many people are mineral deficient. I would encourage garlic. The main reason I would encourage garlic is to help clear the blood vessels out. But the reason that the blood vessels get plugged up, too much sugar. Okay? Now ladies, there's an herb called black cohosh. black cohosh will help with female hormone issues, but it's also been suggested that it can help lower blood pressure in women. We don't use a lot of black cohosh in the office, and I'll explain to you that with everything else that we do, we have great results. Now, if you have low blood pressure, licorice will help low blood pressure. We have licorice root here in the office. If you have high blood pressure, you might not necessarily want to be taking licorice root, okay? Now, fast food has a lot of sodium in it. I mean, it has hundreds of milligrams of sodium. If you're eating a lot of fast food, you could have a blood pressure problem just from the fast food alone, okay? How do you know if you have a lot of sodium in your body or not? We do a hair analysis. Hair analysis will tell me what's going on inside of your body. Often on a hair analysis, we see low sodium and low potassium because people have adrenal gland weakness. This adrenal gland is really, really important. If your adrenal gland is stressed, remember I talked about the guy that was the engineer? If you have stress and you have high blood pressure, and you're taking kids to soccer, and you're in choir, and you're over here, and you're doing this, and you're doing that, because I had to have a nice, kind little discussion with one of my patients yesterday, I told her, you got to stop. She just finished her first year of care. She was doing really good, and all of a sudden she thought she could go back to doing everything again. If you have dilated pupils, you're stressed. You're eating too many carbohydrates. All right. BP medications. Blood pressure medications can cause a lot of challenges to the heart. Blood pressure medications usually weaken heart muscle. Blood pressure medication have bad effects. Some of those bad effects, especially in men, could be erectile dysfunction. They can actually lead eventually to congestive heart failure, blood pressure medications. That's not uncommon because you're weak in heart muscle. Cataplex B is one of the nutrients that we use in our practice to strengthen heart muscle. And lung congestion will cause, which is caused by adrenal gland weakness. If your lungs have a lot of fluid in them, your heart's going to work a lot harder. When you have low blood pressure, like I mentioned, you have large pupils. I want to share one other item here with you. When people have a subluxation right here in your neck, if you go to my webpage, I encourage you to go to www.druglessdoctor.com www.druglessdoctor.com, and there is an awesome tape on there from one of the morning shows about how chiropractic care lowered people's blood pressure 17 points, equivalent of 2 blood pressure medications a day. That's why I would say many of you, your blood pressure is going to drop just because you're getting adjusted. If you get adjusted, if you drink water, okay, if you exercise, if you stay away from sugar, your blood pressure is naturally going to drop anyway, which I think is just really, really significant. I'm going to share one last item with you for Q&A. I recently was reading an article about heart attacks, and I had a patient of mine that was on vacation. He was on vacation for a week in Hilton Head, and he was on vacation with all of his grandkids, so he thought I gave him permission to eat with reckless abandonment. All the junk he wanted. His wife was so mad, I think she had a stick, and murder would have been legal, she would have killed him. But he ate so much sugar that on the Saturday before they were going to come home, he had a heart attack. Now this is what I learned. We're just doing different reading. A Health Alert, Dr. Bruce West is one of the individuals that I've read this at. A lot of heart problems is due to lactic acid buildup in blood vessels in your body. If you have sore muscles in your body after you get done doing some exercise, that's a need for B vitamins. If you have a lot of soreness of muscles after you exercise, it's a buildup of lactic acid. So I just want to help prevent you from having heart problems. One of the leading causes of raising lactic acid inside of your body is sugar. So you want to minimize the amount of sugar that your body is doing. So let me tie all this together for you. When you come into the office, I always adjust this part of your spine. That prevents heart problems. You know I adjust this part of your spine on everybody. You notice when I do that adjustment? And by the way, that's not a karate chop. It's a Toggle Atlas recoil adjustment specifically designed to unchoke the upper vertebra in your neck so your spinal cord is allowed to send the messages down. That alone will lower your blood pressure. Drink water. Stay away from eating a lot of sugar. If you have stress in your life, learn to say I can't say yes. That means say no. So people are asking you to do a lot of things. Just say, I can't say yes. That means no. Because you stroke out, it's like curtains. You don't want that to happen, do you? Okay, that's great. Shut it off.